Okay, so guys, I'm trying this a little bit differently. Um, this is really going to be just like a kind of let's do it together. I'm going to walk you through Honeybook is something I've used in my business for the last 5 years. I absolutely love it. Um, it's like cards on the table. I do have an affiliate link if you'd like to use it, but obviously no obligation to. I wanted to do this just for your education, my education. Honeybook has recently updated a lot. So thought it'd be helpful to kind of like if you've never looked at Honeybook before, you'll see the newest version as of June 2025. But if you have already been using Honeybook and maybe some stuff is starting to break or not work as it did before, that's what kind of this is here to help too, just kind of get us all up to date. Um, and I guess I'll introduce myself too. My name is Victoria Wilson. I have been a birth doula. My doula 10-year anniversary just passed. I want to say it was like this weekend, the weekend of kind of June 9th, 10th, 11th, something. And I got trained back in 2015. So I just hit 10 years as a doula at the time, literally live at the time of this recording. And I've loved this work. I've tried a lot of different things in my career. But one thing that has been consistent is just my love of maternity care, of helping people have empowered births, respecting patient rights, patient autonomy, helping people get informed consent and refusal. Those are kind of some drivers in the work that I love, thinking about equity, how do we make sure we get good healthcare to all people? All those things is kind of what really drew me to doula work. And then because of that, I've worked for 10 years. I think my doula practice is very mi middle of the road in the sense of like I don't specialize in hospital or home. I'm just sort of like I'm here for the moms wherever you're having a baby, whoever's taking care of you, have that baby. I want to be here to help and support you. But having said that, I do have a strong interest in improving birth in the hospital setting, and it's that desire that sort of led me down kind of a somewhat of a fresh path for me last summer. I decided to finally kind of answer the call and go back to school. So I'm going back to be a nurse and then with the ultimate goal of being a nurse midwife, just because through this doula practice, I've learned so much and seen so much. And I honestly just kind of want, I know there's a need for providers who kind of understand the nuances of birth that doulas do, like patients, families being able to choose what's right for them, like having up-to-date evidence-based care, slowing down birth, making it more human. All those things are really appealing to me. So that is why I kind of want to go on the front lines, as it were, and really bring that into a hospital setting. But in the meantime, what I do with my doula business, I'm really excited to show you today how I've managed to do kind of go through this journey, I guess, of working as a doula, trying some different stuff out. I tried to open like a family wellness center at one point. That didn't really go very well, but I've done a lot of different stuff, but I've also maintained a client load. And now, again, I'm going back to school. And the reason I'm able to do that is because of really strong systems and strong automations. I do not have strong systems or automations in any other part of my life. This is my hyper fixation. This is my love. I got it in my doula business, and Honeybook kind of is the thing that has really helped me. So today I'm excited to show this to you. That's my education background is in English and business. I guess I have a double degree in English and business, and so I really geek out about this stuff. And I thought it would be helpful to show you at first what Honeybook will look like on your site. Hopefully everybody can see this. You can kind of nod responsively if you can see this. Hopefully you can. Great. Thanks, Dawn. So this is my doula practice. And here's how Honeybook works for me. Like I said, I do a lot of things. I'm going back to school. I have a part-time job. My boss is here right now. I work as the executive assistant currently at Fourth Trimester Fitness Method. I have 4 kids, and I do take some doula clients from time to time because I've worked as a doula every year for the last 10 years. How do I do that? I have a site like this that works for me when I'm not at it. This is a Honeybook form. I'll show you how to make this. Clients, fill out their inquiry and ding, I get an email. They have an app on my phone or it just comes to my email, both places. I can look at it. I'll show you how people fill out this form. They get an automatic response inviting them to book an interview with me through Honeybook. Honeybook looks at I'm busy. So Honeybook looks at my calendar and blocks out the times I'm not available. It's amazing. Like literally, if you have, it's kind of like having a paid assistant. If you have a program that does work for you, it frees you up to do a lot of other things, and in business, in life. I'm obsessed with my garden right now, so it gives me lots of time to go pull weeds in my garden. But I'll show you again. This is just my site. I both have, a Honeybook link. This is just this could be a scheduler. It's not, but this is my contact form. It comes up in a link, format, or you can embed it. Show you down here on your site. And so I even want to show you guys, if I can, like if you were the client, let's think about it first from this perspective, then I'll go in the back end and show you what it looks like. Actually, I'll show you what, if I'm a client filling this out, this is my experience. Let's say I wanted to talk about a birth doula. I'm due in September because everybody is due in September. You know, I've added this for myself because for a while there was some hospitals I would not go to. And so I had them, they can just pick, these are local to me. I'll show you how you can modify this in Honeybook. They can pick where they're giving birth. And then they have a little spot to write something. The little asterisks are what is required. So you'll notice what I absolutely need to know from people is their name, email, do you want a birth doula? I really should make this required, but I don't because sometimes people are just sending me a general inquiry, and then where are you giving birth? Because I need to know, am I even close to you? I click send. This is what the client sees. And then let me show you, in 1 second, I'm going to pull up my email and I'll show you what that would look like on your end as the doula. And then, like I said, I'll show you just how to make that happen for your own practice. So we'll see how up to date this is here. Oh my, I've not gotten it yet, but let me log into my personal Honeybook and I'll show you. It's taken a second. It's not quite immediate, I guess, but it usually comes within a couple of minutes. If not, we'll just dig into Honeybook. But 1 second, let me switch accounts here. I'm trying to protect client information. That's why I stopped sharing my screen. Oh, here we go. Okay. So look at this. In my inbox, share screen again. So this is my doula business. I can also see this in my Honeybook dashboard, but I can also see it in my email. You see in my inbox, it just came in there. So this is just so handy. It is also on my phone. If I had my notifications turned on, it would have showed up on my Honeybook app on my phone, and it shows up in my Honeybook dashboard. But I just think it's just so handy to have everything there. And let me log in now, and we can go through together, excuse me, how you would set up this kind of basic intake system. I think that's a good place to start. Does anyone have any questions while I'm getting my mock Honeybook account pulled up? Anybody have any questions about what I just showed you? Or is your only question hey, how would I set that up for myself? You can tell me. No questions, no chats. Okay. Hi. Welcome in, new people. You're not late. You're so good. Okay. So if there's no questions, I will keep going. Okay, Amanda, good question. Thank you. Is Honeybook the landing page? You can make it. I will show you how to make it a landing page. What I was just demonstrating, and this is what I would recommend because this makes people still stay on your site. What I did is I just embedded my Honeybook form. So, I showed you how, this form is embedded. I'll show you. It's an HTML code. It's usually very simple for most websites. Even if you have a basic website, there's an option to put in some HTML code. That's what you see, how this little white box is a little different color from the gray background. That means this is a form that's embedded. I have this at the bottom of every page of my site, actually. That's just good practice. So because what I don't want is somebody looking around thinking, well, how do I contact her? It's just always at the bottom. It's also embedded on my contact page. You see how that coloration is a little bit different. So this is the code at work, and I just put it in, and there we go. Also, so Honeybook, what I was going to show you is they also have a link. So I can link directly to this contact form as well. So let's say, I will never not tell you to not create a website. I think you should absolutely have a doula website. But if you do not, you could, in theory, just start with Honeybook and you could just do a bunch of yeah, you could create the contact form as a page, create a little like link tree or short link to this, something like that. Let me see, Amanda, your question. Yeah. The best practice would be to create your own site and embed the intake form, which is what I've done here. But let's say you don't have a site. Let's say you're literally just getting started. There's a couple ways Honeybook would make that easy for you. You can link directly to a contact form. I will show you. They also have an option where you can create a lead form. I'm going to come back to this because I do want to show you guys this basic contact form that I just demonstrated. But basically, let's say I don't have a website at all. I'm only using Honeybook. You could pick any of these. Maybe I do want to make um, either a call, just book a call with me or an inquiry form. You can make a really beautiful form through Honeybook that just is, where people can get information about your doula care. Maybe this is like, or whatever you offer. You can edit all of that. Let's say this is maybe birth doula, and then maybe this is like postpartum doula. This is called a lead form in Honeybook again. Maybe you offer these different services, and I'll just show you quickly. We'll say you like my little, yeah, example. So let's say, again, you don't have a website. Eventually, everyone does need a website just for a lot of different reasons, but you could just make this lead form in Honeybook. This is kind of how it will show up to new people. They can go through and select what they're interested in and then submit that information. It would come to you. But again, what I just showed you all and what we're going to start with is just a basic contact form as you could embed on your site. You can even just make a page on your site just be a contact form. But I still ultimately you do want all of everything linked back to your site. But I'll show you. We got another question about building a website. I'll answer that at the end. I know enough to be dangerous with regard to like website building and SEO. Like I know my way around, but I'm not. I don't present myself as an expert. So, but we can talk at the end. I'll come off screen share. But let's just talk about for right now how to do this basic contact form in Honeybook. So we'll start back at the top here. This is your home dashboard. And this is my practice one. So there's no actual people here yet. But what's really cool is when you do get, and we'll set this up and then do a mock inquiry. All of your clients and stuff, again, this isn't my real one because I don't want to give you client information, but they will all show up here. People who fill out a contact form for the first time will be here. If you've communicated with them or responded, they get bumped to here automatically. It's so cool. Like let's say they scheduled an interview, Honeybook will recognize, oh, they have a meeting scheduled. You can, they'll be in the meeting tab and then on and on. We can go more into this in a second. You can customize the pipeline. I do this for myself. I change some of these to like, first prenatal done, for example, whatever, or you can add in more, whatever. Like I just customize this to what I want it to be. But anyway, we'll go back to how would you make a contact form? You come over here to lead capture contact forms. We'll start from fresh. Honeybook has like so many, they have lots of templates. You can use a template. I'll just do this from scratch. I like saying, what's your name? Make it personal. You can edit this text, to make it look a little like friendly. I also like to don't have too many options for people. So I don't actually care what their address is right now. I'll ask them that if they actually become a client. You can change this to due date. So Honeybook is going to call in their automations, they're going to call this a project date because they're thinking about like event planners, wedding photographers, when is this event? We're going to change it to due date because I like categorizing people that way. And then all of, project date is going to be linked throughout. I'll show you why this is important later because you're going to organize people by date. It'll automatically populate. For example, when I send the contract, I can say, hey, make the contract effective, 3 weeks before this project date, which is in my case, it's their due date. It's just, I'll show you lots of cool ways if you link a date to the client. Um, Honeybook calls it project date, we'll call it due date. You can just use that for lots of applications. How did you hear about us? That's a good marketing question. I wouldn't do it on my initial intake form. Um, I would still keep it simple. You can try it out. I also like to hear, ask people what do they want me for. I'll show you where we can edit these project types in a second. This is in your company settings, but you would just change it to, doula, placenta encapsulation, whatever, yoga to, whatever you offer. And then tell me more. You can even change this, what service are you? Again, make it personal. I must share anything below, make it do whatever's appropriate for you. You can also change in design, you know, I'll show you in a second where we can set up like Honeybook will just have your unique brand colors, but you can like make this unique to you, that which is kind of neat. That's a little dramatic, but you can edit this. Just keep that in mind too. That's a little crazy. We're not going to do that, but you see what I'm saying. And then when I say publish, this is when I was talking about you can embed something. This is, if we have a website, your website builder probably has something for an HTML code. This is the code you would put in. When you do copy it, I'll show you, well, I guess you guys can see what the code looks like. It's going to be long and clunky for me to put it somewhere that's on an actual website, but you copy paste. The other thing you can do is, which I like this, just get a direct link. So you can copy that. I would say put this like in your bio on like Instagram or something. You could put this as a direct response to people. You could say like, hey, leave a comment on my post and I'll email you, or I'll direct message my contact form. So you can use this form as a link, as a hyperlink itself, or as an embed code. Is there any questions about this so far? Because what I want to show you is how we get to the cool like automation part. See, yes, Shantae, feel free to unmute, Shantae. What is your question?
Hey, I'm also like stuffing my face with salad.
Get it, girl. Also, it's great to hear from you. I was literally talking to someone recently, Megan, and I was like, I haven't talked to Shantae in forever. How is she?
Just text me.
I should. I literally should. I don't know why I don't do that.
It might be an automation question, but I just wanted to like mention it before I forget. So like when people sign up, like through your Honeybook, your link, on your website for your email marketing, does that automatically get in like for instance, if you use like ConvertKit or Flowdesk or whatever, does that automatically put them in that sequence, or do you have to like manually do that?
That is an excellent question. It does not automatically put them there, but you could, let's just see. So, I'll see if there's a new way. You could also set up something like a Zapier to do that
Okay.
for you. It does not automatically do on its own, unless, let's just see, marketing, if they maybe have an integration. No, I'm going to look for Flowdesk. Look at this. So,
Yeah, because I use Flowdesk too. So perfect.
so let's say that they have, yes, it depends. Let me also see. I know you mentioned ConvertKit. I'm trying to think of another one some people would use, or it's called Kit now, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Kit, yeah.
Kit, MailChimp. No, they do have Flowdesk, which is cool. And if they didn't have this, what I would say is you could make a like a Zapier to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, so it looks like and this is what was going to point out to people, if you've already been using Honeybook or you've tried it before, you're going to see they have just updated these automations. So there's 2.0, and I guess 1.0, which is just funny. Everything I've recorded previously was in the old one. So that's another reason I wanted to do this, was like just to give you some updated like information. Looks like they do have Flowdesk, which is cool. And I want to point out too, what we can do here is say, yeah, good to see you, Shantae. And this is a lesson for all of us. If you realize you've fallen out of touch with a friend, just text them. Like, why, anyway, Shantae, I'm going to text you after this because literally we were sitting, yeah, Megan and I were, we were sitting in the cafeteria at UK and like, how is she? I don't know. I haven't talked to her. Have you talked to her? We should, yeah. What's
I'm alive and well.
I'm
There
so
you
glad
go.
to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, so let's say for this person, and notice again, if you were to connect it, like in this example, Flowdesk, it would want you to, yeah, connect. I'm not going to actually connect this to Flowdesk at the moment, but you see that would be a step you do. What I will show you guys is this is what I have set up in my own, for example. After they submit a contact form, like immediately after, I send an email. And Honeybook is so nice to you. They have some examples you can customize. I'll show you another way you can access all of your emails. I ended up deleting the ones like they have a lot of templates, I guess. I delete what I don't need because I don't need that kind of confusion in my life. But you can also edit them through here. If you go to preview, edit template, then you can actually live edit this email template. Basically, Honeybook is keeping like a whole library of just email, any type of email you might possibly send to somebody. So I can customize this. Thanks for inquiring. When someone's coming in, thanks for, inquiring about my doula services, and again, make it personal. I'm the best doula ever. Yeah, maybe this is your style. I don't know. The other thing I like is this is what I do. I just include book an interview. This is a link from Honeybook. They kind of bring it up a little clunkily. I would say, you know, I would probably delete all that and just click here. And then, I also do this in the meantime. Uh, Feel free to reply, questions, just because this automatically goes out, I will go back in afterwards and still respond to people, you know. Um, but I just like that they get something. Um, I want to show you guys this as well. Hold on. I'm a big believer in the lookbook. Now, Honeybook is going to have a really fancy way we can give people a proposal of our services. I will show you that. What I do, so you could, let me say, you could attach something from Honeybook here of like, here's a preview of my services, whatever. My big goal for this initial email personally is I want them to book an interview with me. What I also like to do is send them, I literally attach this like PDF. Um, this is, you could send a link. I literally will attach like this exact PDF to that email. And this is why in my area, I've just increased my rates because of where I am in birth world and my, career path. So I know a lot of people are not going to book with me because of my price. So I want kind of immediately to give them a hint like, hey, I'm at 35, I charge $3,500. Here's what you get, but I don't want people to be sticker shocked, when they're interviewing with me. So I include literally this as a PDF. I would like attach it um to this Honeybook email. Again, there's a fancy Honeybook way. You can also attach like a brochure of your services, but I kind of like doing it this way. It's just simple. I literally will say like, see my attached lookbook of my services. Talk to you soon. But I have my prices on my website. I have this lookbook. I still will have interviews with people where they're like, oh my gosh, that's not my budget. And I'm like, that's okay. Here's some doulas that might be a better fit, whatever. But I'm trying to, kind of qualify my leads as much as possible in this process. So send them automatic email. This is a big part of why Honeybook works for me. And then we'll test this out. Bye, Brittany. Someone's heading out. That's okay. We'll get the recording later. This is definitely why I'm recording it. Um,
I have another quick question.
Go ahead.
One, good for you for raising your rates.
Thank
Woohoo. Two, so you said that the book availability thing was within Honeybook
you.
also?
Yep. I will.
Okay.
Yeah, let me show you that before I'll do a little sample run of how all this works, but let me show you that now. So Honeybook connects to, if you use their calendar app, which I definitely recommend, again, that this is where this is how like I get away with all that I'm able to do is because Honeybook is literally telling people when I'm available or when I'm not available. So you can connect a calendar. I'm not going to do this because this is kind of my dummy account. They serve Google, iCloud, Outlook. Um, then what you can also do, calendar is one thing. Go under tools and scheduler if you want to customize. So I have everything. I have all my appointment types in here. Well, we're just going to do interview for right now, but I also include my like 2 hour doula prenatal. I include the postpartum visit as one. I include, for a time I was trying out like one-off kind of birth, just consultation stuff. I didn't really like doing that, but I would include that, any service I offer. Um, but you can edit them within the scheduler. So let's say you have your calendar connected. What's nice is that you can set some availability that you want to have, but Honeybook will also look at your available times and they'll block out anything that you're already booked for. So let's say 30 minutes interview. I only do interviews on Zoom. Let's say the first interview on Zoom, you can and personalize. They give you so many chances to personalize things. Like do that any stuff you can. Book an interview to, or I can't wait to hear about your birth plans. But, personalize it, personalize it, personalize it. And then for availability, I'm a big believer in this as well. And honestly, starting to use Honeybook is what helped me realize I needed to set like certain days for certain things. Let's say I don't want to be working, I might have stuff to do. I'm not going to work until 5 o'clock on Friday. I only do interviews these times. Maybe there's just one night a week. Let's say that I have an evening appointment available because you want to be accessible to parents. That's really great, but not every night. So let's say, Wednesdays and Thursdays, maybe I have an evening spot with me. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. I also do this for my doula like meetings. I know if it's a Tuesday or Thursday, there's a chance I could have a prenatal. Other than that, no, unless it's a special case. But I think it's good for you in your world to have a rule for yourself. You can choose if you want to break that or accommodate the boundary, but otherwise, these are the times. This is when you get availability with me. You can also set minimum notice. Maybe you want at least 2 hours heads up if someone's going to like book an interview. Time in between, which is really helpful. Maybe you just need 15 minutes between an interview. And then buffer time, like how, um, yeah, or oh wait, actually, no, this is clients. Yeah, never mind, just kidding. This is showing how often you're available. This is a 30-minute meeting. We can show 30-minute increments. This is the time in between. So maybe you want 50 minutes to prep an interview. Um, but what's cool is like, let's say, when someone books, let me try to show you what this will look like if you are booking. So let's say I'm a client, you've sent me this, and you said, "Hey, book an interview with me." This is what they'll see. And if I had my calendar connected, let's say my kids had day camp like all next week, these dates would be blocked out. It would just be crossed out gray, not available if I was like busy. But if I am free, it's right here. It's super easy. They pick a time. One of my like professional pet peeves is the whole back and forth. It's like, when are you available? No, when are you available? It's like, just tell them, here's when I'm available. See what works for you. We can go from there if this doesn't, but this cuts down so much back and forth. And it's all automatic, right? So there's literally been times when I've been in a birth, I like see my Honeybook alert go off. I know I got an inquiry, and then I'll see so-and-so booked an interview for you, like 2 days from now. Like, that's so great. That just all happened. I didn't even have to think about it, you know? Um, see, hold on. I had some questions. Let me. Da-da-da. Yes. What if, and then, okay. So question about scheduling and a question about services. I'll cover how many services you offer in a second and where you can put that in. What if for scheduling, what if you don't see that they haven't scheduled anything? Do you have a follow-up email or do you personally reach out to check in? I've had a few inquiries, but no one's scheduled. Yeah, let's talk about that right now in particular before we show off how our automation would work. Back in these automations, you can handle this one of two ways. You can personally reach out. That's another reason why I really love sorry, that's why I love this project timeline. They'll show you all of your inquiries. So like I will go in a couple times a week and just run through, okay, Oh, that inquiry. Oh yeah, they never, scheduled. I need to like follow back up with them. I just go through my pipeline, who's on call, who still needs to schedule a prenatal, like what babies are coming, all of that stuff. I just review my timeline twice a week or so. Also, with their automations, you can automatically set a follow-up. So you could do something like, oh no, did it not save our contact form one? Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be so bummed. We just set that up. I'm not crazy. You guys saw us set this up together. I don't know why. It's okay. Remember, we did the whole email thing. We sent an email. Why is that not there? Anyway, it's fine. Maybe I didn't hit update or something. So yeah, you can do this immediately, after that happens. You can also set up a condition. So it could be like if they didn't schedule a session. If they didn't, you could send an email. Do you follow what I'm doing here? To say like, book an interview, uh, or just maybe just do a reminder, maybe we'll call it a 3-year reminder. Yeah, something like this, you could, and again, customize this, definitely customize this, make it your own. You could say, okay, if they haven't scheduled a session, send an email. If they did, you could just send a like, you could do nothing, you could also say like, hey, looking forward to meeting you, you could also just do nothing. Um, and that's the end of that automation. Does that make sense? So yeah, cool. It's nice that you can definitely choose that. You can also just like you can do a more general one if these kind of conditions is too complicated. You can also, this isn't a bad idea, say wait 2 days and then just send another email. Like we'll say this is a um I'm trying to find just one of these. We'll say this could just be a like, hey, just checking in, are we all good? Something. Yeah, if you haven't, and you could even just make it general. If you haven't like scheduled an interview yet, be sure to do that, whatever. So you could just say, this as this reads right now, this would be like they send the contact form. If you wanted to add them to Flowdesk, you could. I'm sure Honeybook will add in some more providers over time, like whatever mailing list you use. But we could say contact form submits, send them that direct email of, hey, welcome, here's my lookbook, schedule an interview, whatever you want to do. Then wait 2 days, send a general email, or, if you didn't want to do that, you could do the whole condition thing. If they did schedule a session within a day, don't do anything. Or if they didn't, send them an email to follow up. Um, I hope that makes sense. Let me answer to, and we are going to end at 2 o'clock, so we are good on time. Um, Someone's asking about services. I'll answer this. We can kind of customize the services that you offer, and then we can go show you like how this contact form would work and like how it shows up in Honeybook. You do that under your company settings in Honeybook. It is under preferences, I believe. Yes. I love it when I'm not like searching like feverishly. So yeah, settings, company settings, preferences, project types. Honeybook calls a project, we might call it services. I put these in as kind of filler. Recommendation on, I mean, I feel recommendation on how many. I think that you do want to simplify it. So if you're not sure, you could even just have like general inquiry could be one, like maybe we'll make no, I want to make this default. Maybe this can just be like have a make one general, Um, I kind of think like if you're looking at a list and you're deciding you want clear and like somewhat few options. I don't want people feeling like they're like spinning, the Price is Right wheel or something to get to the service that they want. So simple, is there an evidence-based like recommended number? There probably is. I don't know what that is, but I would say keep it simple. This might even be too much. Maybe birth doula, postpartum doula, or just I have a general inquiry. They could choose. If I'm a parent, that's very clear to me, you know. The same thing here with these project fields. I definitely recommend keeping said date, location, keep all of this. And I'll show you I'll send in my sample contact form. I'll show you where all of this comes into play in like their client record. Um, yeah, I think we'll go do that now actually. But I hope that makes sense when we see if you answered. Yeah. As far as how many of these, probably three, maybe four. You just don't want to overwhelm people. So let's say again, I'm going to this is our sample form we created. We'll say my name is Jane Doe, this is my real email. If you guys have questions, feel free to contact me. Pick a date. We'll try this out. General inquiry. That's curious. I don't know why those are going twice. That's okay. We'll see that later. And you can do a lot more. Like if this is just my kind of dummy account, if I had like a logo, you can, my personal contact form has this. You can like, you'd have a logo appear. You could change the background, whatnot. Um, but let's say we sent that contact form. Then when we come here to Honeybook, what is cool is that it will show up in our project pipeline. And this is where it gets like really exciting. Um, so we learned it takes a second to appear, but soon it will appear in this like view. We'll see if it doesn't pop up quickly. There we go. See, woohoo. There we go. So this is what you'll see. You get that email. If you had the app on your phone, you're going to get it like ding, you have a new client. I just like that it has everything there, all their information. You can see Honeybook directly sent that email that we just set up, which is cool. As the doula, if I'm looking at this, I can go in. You can email people. Of course, you can always email them from your own like inbox. If I could also reply to this, and that will send me, this is my actual doula site. This would send me an email, or it would show up in Honeybook. So, but you could also just use Honeybook to communicate. You know, um, like this will send back to my personal inbox. The other cool thing here is that, excuse me, you see under details, you got all this information there, anything they're putting down, like when they're due, anything relevant. I like keeping really special, remember like there's some like they could also see this information on their client view. They have a client portal option. So some information the client also sees, just so we're like all on the same page, which is pretty cool. Show you, you would have to log in, but there is a client portal situation if you wanted to use that. But the other thing I like about Honeybook, they've moved this a little bit. They have a notes section that's only available to you. So I can take like prenatal notes, you know, and you'll see when it has this X on it, that means it's only like you or your team. Let's say if you wanted to add your backup doula as a member of your team, they could also see this information. Because sometimes, right, there's information you may not want. Like client is really particular about shoes in the house. Like, I don't know, that may not be something the client needs to know, but you need to know. You can kind of keep private notes about them. They don't see that. But what they do see is their own information they've put in, like their details, notes. They will be able to see their own inquiry. And then also I'll show you next, make sure we check my questions real quick. Yeah, when we get into payments and situations, they can see, the client can always see, and you can always see like where they are with paying and invoicing, things like that. Someone asked, oh yeah, contact form versus lead form. If there's any other questions about this stuff, I can show you that difference. Is there any questions on what I've showed you so far? I'm really working on being a slower person in my life. I'm not very good at it yet, but no questions yet. Okay, so yeah, so contact form is just what it says. That's something you could, again, you can embed on your site. Like I have it here anywhere. You can make a direct link to it. It is just a form that gets information. A lead form is sort of like the next level of that. This would be Honeybook's kind of fancy way to collect information, showcase your services. Like I showed you guys, I just personally like using the little PDF lookbook thing. You can also create, you can like build out a whole project proposal in a lead form. This is one I've already created. We'll see, and I'll show you where to access these. Um, so let's say this is a lead form. I'll show a proposal is basically Honeybook's name for kind of like a brochure or a lookbook. The lead form does collect, lead information. So it is collecting information about this client, name, email, anything else. You could have them pick what services are interested in or not. You could also, if we wanted to like say delete this, we could just say, um, you know, we could after they hit submit on this lead form, they could go straight into this really beautiful detailed proposal that, so again, contact form is just simple, just the facts, information. Lead form is like a little more put together and pretty, as you see here. Honeybook has lots of templates you can customize to your business. I still think that less is a little bit more, like I don't necessarily I'm not going to necessarily be sending like an invoice for me. If I'm thinking of like a brand new inquiry, I'm not going to be sending an invoice right away or asking for payment. But I might, I also don't necessarily want, for me, I don't do detailed questionnaires for inquiries. Like I just want to clear them, vet them, make sure they're interested. Then I would like, okay, you can be my client. Here's my client intake. I don't need another life story if they're just seeing if I'm a good fit as a doula. I just need basic information. We'll have an interview. If there's a good fit, then we, move forward. But you could do, here's something about me. If I'm building this out, I would say, here's an overview of what my services are that I offer. A lead form is nice because you could just make this one big process where, okay, there's me. If that sounds good to you, book an interview. Here's, and you can pull all of this in. See, I can change if I had other types of sessions, I could put that in there. But you see, it's automatically pulling my session types. They could book. And then next steps, that might be like, great, I've got you on my calendar and we'll talk soon, something like that. Just let them know what to expect. So that's what a full like lead form is. And if I'm a client, again, if I'm a client viewing this, um, they would go back to the front here. This is like what they would see. They would see this information, then it would go straight into like, here's a bit more about me. You can customize all of this. So I hope that kind of makes sense. This is meant to give them a little more information. I'd like to show kind of basic and then elevated options, you know, as you go. The other thing Honeybook does too, which, and this is what I use. So in my process, it just works for me. What I do is I will interview people, then I send them a proposal. So it's not quite a lead form. Um, this is the one thing, hold on, bear with me. This is so silly. I use it all the time, but I like can never find, here we go. Every Honeybook call you see with me, I'm always trying to find like, where do I get the proposals? Because I set it up once and then it's done. But what I do is I'll have the interview. If it was good, I would like to be their doula. Then I set up a proposal and I would tell them in my interview, like, hey, this is a great talk. I'm going to send you all of the information, like details, like, if you want to look at contract, payment plan, stuff like that, I'll send that to you via email. So what that means is I then, have all of this prepped where I'm, you know, whatever, sending this, they just want to be a birth doula. So that's all I'm going to send them. I like that you can show people their payment schedule, you can do custom, like maybe you have a $500 deposit or something. Um, you could change that. Why is that doing it twice? Oh yeah, because it had, okay. Um, you can show people when it's due. I like here, this is the reason as well you want to be using their due date for that, like use that project date folder, because I can say, hey, this is actually due 3 weeks before their project date when I go and call for them. Honeybook will automatically send them an email, hey, your balance is due, that's due upon receipt. You can put your whole contract in here. Again, other reasons, like little sneaky ways I kind of save myself some time is that I would say, for example, if I'm talking about a call time, I would say like, where are we? Maybe like under here, your I will be on call for you as, 3 weeks before and 2 weeks following your due date. And then if this is playing nicely, I can just put in a smart field in theory. Yeah, project date. Boom, there it is. Like there, you can kind of just automatically do that. I'm not having to customize every single one I send out. You can, you know, make that's why you want this project types filled out because it will say birth doula, placenta encapsulation, whatever you're doing. You want their name here. So it'll just pull in, this is a contract between this doula and, whatever client. Put all the contact info. And then I also at the end of these, typically, hold on, where's my folder here? I also like to include the invoice. Where did hold on. This is also why we're doing this, so I can like see everything that Honeybook has changed. But there typically is a way to just like also add in a payment scale. Maybe they're wanting us to use these smart files now. So again, Honeybook is really changed a lot recently. There we go. Um, we do want this to be a smart file, and have contract information. And then at the very end, I like that they can pay and they can choose card, they can pay from a bank account. I believe you can even choose, there's somewhere here, oh, I think it's under your company settings. You can actually choose like how people pay, like what if you want to take cards or bank accounts or whatever. It's just great. Then after I met with somebody, I would like look up their name, hey, that was a great meeting with so and so. I would be their doula. I can send them this whole proposal, you know, and I would say something like, "Oh, geez, see, it wants us to be all like particular, like we're not actually. This isn't real, guys." Um, okay, well, it's gonna want us to customize all this. We're not gonna spend all of this time necessarily, but anyway, you would share, and this typically pops up an email window, and you can just like email that onto them. It's really convenient. Let me hold on. Did I stop sharing for a second? Yes. What other, we're going to pause and I'm going to double check questions. And then what, is there anything else you guys wanted to see? I can answer the website builder question quickly. Like I said, I'm not a web expert. In the replay, I will send out my recommendations for people, like how to get a great doula website. Um, for starters, you should just have one. I personally have a website that I built on Squarespace, and I just have like my domain hosted on I use Web Savers. It's a Canadian web hosting company. Um, there's so many options. Ultimately, like what your benefits and risk. If you're paying a service like I see Wix a lot, or if you're using Squarespace, something like that. If you're paying for them to like own your domain and build the website, you're giving up some customization and some ownership of your site. But it's like if you're not techie, that just might be the great, solution for you. If you want to have a lot of customizations and a lot of ownership, then you would be buying your own domain name from a server, a registrar. You would be also buying, sometimes these are the same thing. You'd be buying hosting for your site, and then you'd be paying for like WordPress and some sort of like WordPress builder, possibly for customizations. One of my clients was a web designer, so that was our barter back in the day, 10 years ago. Back in the day, she's like, I'll build your website if you be my doula. And we've been good friends since then. And so that's kind of how my website came about, but why I have WordPress. A lot of custom designers and builders want you to have a WordPress site, but at the same time in the market, I just see a lot of like, I'm a Squarespace designer, I'm a this designer, Tonic Site Shop is another one. So just you can pay to do everything, like just have a bundle all in one. That's totally fine. If you want more customizations, that's really important to you. Maybe you should, buy all the individual elements yourself. I think I'm not an expert. I don't have a exact recommendation for what you should do. I do know having a website is better than like no website, and owning your own domain is better. Like, so that would be, it's my website is motherwelldoula.com because I own that real estate on the internet. It's not like motherwelldoula.wix, Google sites, GoDaddy.com or whatever. I own it. Um, I do know that is worth paying for. And then when that's kind of where I would say get like a web person or just SEO. There's a lot of doulas there's people who kind of help doulas specifically do like SEO and web design and what's best for you. Um, that's kind of like my long non-answer. But what I do is I do have a WordPress site, and then I've paid for all the like hosting separately and domain registration, and we update it. Um, I hope that answers that question. Is there any other question before we've got like 10 minutes left? Is there anything else that would be helpful for you to see in Honeybook before this is very quick intro to like what all they can do. But and you're welcome to unmute too. Yeah, let me show you. Someone's asking about the Honeybook note taker feature. Um, let me show you. I'm gonna go off share so I can like go into kind of my personal. Um, hold on, and I can. Basically, I have used the feature. It's very cool. What that only, of course, works if you're doing a Zoom meeting. But Honeybook, so let's say like my client scheduled a prenatal meeting with me. We're doing like I usually do my first one on Zoom, my second one in person at their house. That just works for me. Um, I can show you what it looks like though. But when it's Zoom, it will literally take notes for you, and it's so cool. Yeah. Hold on one second. Uh, I'm trying to think of someone I just had like a Zoom meeting with. Um, that I can show you. But Honeybook, yeah, it's basically like their AI tool. And you can choose not to do this, of course. I get it. If you are like, no, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want like an AI robot in my listening to my prenatal call. Obviously, you do not have to use that. But I'm pulling up an example here of a note taker. Okay, so here is an actual example. Let me get her information hidden here. Okay. So this is a client. This is their summary. It's even cute. It's got little like emojis, like of the topics, but it's just cool. It gives me an update. They paid in full, their balance. Um, it talks about the last time I emailed them, I sent them spinning babies resources. This is when we're going to meet next. Um, this is what we talked about. It's sort of like confirm expectations. Um, any additional, stuff we need to do. Well, I wish I could show you a more detailed example, but let's say if we were actually, this is, I guess, their meeting prep, like here's what you should cover for your meeting. When it is actually prenatal meeting, it will say like Victoria talked about pelvic floor discomfort with the client and gave recommendations. Victoria will send you or whatever, will send blah, 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 blah. Like it is that detail. It both preps meetings and summarizes them afterwards. And it's so helpful. Like I kind of have a way I do that just in my brain as I'm going through meetings, but it's very nice that you can just focus on the client. And it's literally like like I said, I'm kind of realizing I can't actually show you a good example with the real client because that's, their personal information, but it is that detailed of like, here's what you talked about. Here's the to-dos from the meeting. Here's when you're going to meet again, etc. It's very cool. Um, yeah. So someone has experience with the feature. It's nice to have a prep before the meeting. It's nice to have a summary afterwards. Um, I'll show you guys too. Let me show you when we filled out, I can go in my email now. When we filled out that contact form, remember, and we were in Honeybook as the doula and we responded to the person. It's so cool. This is like I'm the client. This is how it would show up in my email inbox. It's just very neat. Someone asked, do I teach a course on building funnels or recommend a person or organization? I don't know if I have a particular person to recommend as far as like doing it for you, but the course I've learned the most like with regarding to like doula work and building sales funnels. I'm a big fan of Darcy Sowers and my doula village. I can send you, I have, I'm an affiliate for her too. You can tell her I sent you. She has some courses for doulas in her membership. There's a lot of people who do this now. As far as like someone setting it up for you, I don't know if I have that recommendation, but that group has been very good for like doula centered, business focused. She both helps people like build an in-person doula practice and helps people kind of with like online, if you wanted to add some digital products and offerings to your doula business. But my Doula Village, like it's a membership. There's also like pre-recorded courses and content. I would recommend her. I can send you that link and I'll also send it in the follow-up. Um, and I feel like I have a code. I may have a coupon code. I will double check, but I will send it to you. My Doula Village, Darcy, or you can, if you decide to join, you can tell her I sent you. And I feel like I'm just forgetting off the top of my head what my code is to get you a little something. But yeah, when my clients book, another question for Honeybook, when your clients book an interview, is it automatically set up as a Zoom meeting? You can choose that. So let's go back in here to the scheduler. Um, you get to decide what the default is. And like for example, my doula clients, they can choose like, do you want in person or virtual? And it's a little toggle and they get to pick, which is really cool. Um, but over here in the scheduler, my computer's like, you have done enough internet things for today. It's going so slow now. Oh, well, okay, this is my personal one because I switched over. So this is like my actual account. Um, you can see I've set this up to be a video default. If it's a client session, I want to say I've set these up as the default still might be video, but they can choose, if you want to just default it in person or whatnot. For example, let's say maybe I wanted to do a postpartum visit, right? I definitely know I want to do those in person. So I could say client visit, session type is always in person. And then I can, the address, client's house, just so they know. Or if you had an office space, yeah. So you can set
Okay,
the default. Yeah, go ahead, Kendra.
I'm trying to figure this out right now. I'm like been playing around on
Yes,
Honeybook.
tell me. This is what I
You know,
wanted.
in two cities, and I just copied all of my sessions and made like one location and a second location. But now, if I can toggle it between virtual and in person, can I have them toggle that between two different in-person locations?
Let's see. Yeah, that's a great question. Let's screen share and let's see. This is what I was hoping for. Like, let's honeybook with me and like, let's do it together. Um, I want to say, so again, we'll do this when we just set up. Let me first see if we go in here, location. I guess you could do this a couple different ways. I guess you could say like, I know, for example, you're in El Paso, like maybe you say in person El Paso and then do like an in person, copy and do an in person, whatever else. Let's see though. I'm so curious now. I wonder session type it looks like they maybe just have in person, phone call, or video.
Yeah, I had copied all the sessions and made the one El Paso and the one New Mexico.
Interesting. Yeah. Whoops. That's
And
fine.
when I schedule her, I have to be like,
I
here, choose. And so
Yeah, huh. It's almost like it's almost like a session is individual. Or what you could do, I mean, yeah, I guess like I said, I typically do keep mine just typically on video, but then I'll say like we can move this to in person. You can go in and change that. Or I'll
What if
say
you just don't fill out the location and then you just give them the location based on their location?
could also do that. Yeah, does it help you, Kendra? Is there a reason like you need to know? Is it like for your own scheduling? Like, am I driving to El Paso today or am I driving somewhere else? Like, do you need to know?
it's an hour and a half away. So I can't have somebody like schedule a 1 o'clock in El Paso and then a 2 o'clock. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah. It's because I'm looking here. Yeah. Session type. It looks like that might be like predetermined by them. But also, let's just see. I mean, my favorite way to find out things. Uh, yeah, that looks like it's just like a scheduler. Interesting. Yeah. So what I would almost do It looks like this is just like that, what we're just the type of, is it a prenatal? Is it a consult? Is it postpartum? I think probably your situation of like making it, and you would just send different links, like El Paso postpartum visit. But then, right, for these ones where you're traveling farther away from you, that's where you maybe a customization that would help you is minimum notice and then the increments, like, or in buffer time. Like, I need at least 3 hour. You can't book two, you know, appointments within 3 hours and you going. Or they also had an option, at least they did it one time, of how often you can do these a day. So you could say, like, I only do one El Paso visit a day or something like that. Um, yeah, which I'm seeing. Yeah, gosh, where did it go? This guy, I wonder, I hope they maybe took that off because that was actually really helpful. But, um, yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing it here. They did have a type where you could just be like, only do, yeah, oh well. Maybe the buffer time would be the saving grace there. Because it does look like this is just for the client to know, like, is it in person or virtual or just phone call? I don't know if you could change that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I would definitely do what you're doing, perhaps, and just keep the, yeah, different types. But I'll keep looking. If I see a different answer, I'll let you know, Kendra. But I think the buffer would be that saving of like helping you not go all over creation. Any other questions? That's a good one. I'm sorry I don't have like a better answer, but any other questions while we're screen sharing? Try to see all your beautiful faces, or feel free to unmute. I want to go back and well, hold on, that's back in my personal one. To go back to my little dummy account. Um, any other, it's okay if you don't have other questions. This was really just like a, hey, let's just like do it together. And this has been great. Someone asked, what package do I have? I believe I have these essentials package on Honeybook. Oh, and I'll share my link with you guys too. Let me tell you for sure. Hold on one second. I will share this with you. And I want to go, let me go into my fake doula account. I'll show you how that person they just automatically move a pipeline. You guys can get a 30% discount. Said you don't, of course, I'm affiliate. You don't, you never have to use people's affiliate links if you don't want to, but it's not anything extra to you. It just like sends me a thank you for referring you. But I did want to show you, typically, well, it didn't do this, but typically sometimes like that inquiry we just had when we responded, sometimes it will go ahead and pop it over to like follow up. Like you were asking if I've communicated with them and they've not responded, like after a certain time, I'm guessing, and maybe it's like like a day or something. If this person weren't to respond back, it would pop up to like follow up, which is kind of cool. But it looks like in our fake account, it just it's still there right now. So I would have to go in and like see what automation is assigned to the pipeline. You can sometimes the pipeline will do things automatically. Sometimes you can stop it or have it do something else, but that's kind of like a next level. This up here, this pipeline customization. I thought it was going to do this automatically. Like just because we responded to them, it would put them in the follow-up category. Let me see. What do they have this set as? I don't know. Anyway, that might be something we can like, oh yeah. Manage
I have a quick question when you're done.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, manage pipeline. When the first follow-up email is sent. Yeah, that's so weird. I should have, because we sent a follow-up email. I should have popped them over. But anyway. Yeah, so what's your question? And I'll be looking while you're asking for the person who asked which package I have. I want to say it's.
That was me.
Oh,
it
Shantae.
just happened to go to you personally. I don't know if
That's
I could
so
send
funny.
it
Yeah, no, it's okay. Go ahead. What's your question, Shantae?
So in full context, I was looking between the Honeybook and like Acuity also. Because I'm really just trying to streamline some things and
Yes.
our lives are busy.
I get
But
it.
my question is, so if I also offer childbirth education, is there a way that I can use Honeybook for that also, like putting it on the site, have people just pay and
Yeah.
go from there?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you can, yes, you can. I'll tell you, and I don't, here, I have essentials. So I'm paying, right now it's $47 a month for essentials. The starter is 36 a month. Um, so yeah, I am on the essentials plan. And what I'm on the essentials plan because to your question, Shantae, you can, like what I've done here, this is my primary doula business, and so I'm in their company settings under your company brand. I would highly recommend everybody to do this. Like go put in your like main logo, your images. You can kind of change, what font you always want to use and what colors. That's like super helpful. The other reason I'm on this is because I can switch. So for you, I have like my doula mentoring kind of stuff, like my workbook things as a whole separate brand. So you can set up a couple different brands within your company. So that might maybe for you, that's like childbirth education, you know, here's my pretend doula business. Or so you could do it that way of having like totally different brands and companies, or you could just build out the projects, like just have your, have them all there and just use that categorization of like the project type, here when we went to preferences. You could just use this to like organize people, like who's education, who's doula or midwife or whatever. You can use project types and you could still have like these packages, like you could have as many of these as you wanted, like proposal, you could have a childbirth education one, doula one. You could build out as many like proposals, lead capture forms for whatever service you wanted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. And that's good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
because
It,
whatever I set up now, like, I mean, of course, you know me, like I'm trying to be done with school so I can just start my own midwifery practice. So it's like if I could go ahead and start getting those things in order now,
yeah, I
it'll
love it.
help.
Yeah, I love it. See, and I'm just gonna text you after this because that's what was my question. Like, how is your midwifery going? So, like, is she taking clients yet? But yeah, you could do lead, like you could have different lead forms for your different services, or again, or but when you organize it, I can't really show you my like for real doula one, but if you were when you have those different project types, like you can just see very clearly in your lineup, like, and I can even change, are they a birth, are they client, whatever. Let me get them here. Hold on. Oh, details. Again, sorry, my internet, for real. My internet's like, girl, you done too much today. You need to stop. But you can change the types, then you could organize them in your pipeline. You can still organize that by what kind of client are they, and you can just see it all. Like it's kind of weird because there's just one, but you could organize by type, if there were multiple, it would show up in an order and whatnot. Or you could do the whole thing where you just switch the company. Just keep in mind, like if you do want to keep them separate, like you can't necessarily cross over. So, like your doula inquiries would be in totally one view. You'd have to switch to like your other Honeybook view. So for you, it might make sense to have it all under one in case somebody is like both a doula client and a childbirth educator client.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
My other quick question was, I know that you can take payments. So does Honeybook automatically like send you payments, or do you have it set up to like I get all of my money on Friday of each week?
Oh, yeah. It's a good question. I have it set up where they just deposit. I want to say there's like a day or so delay because I'll get the email like so and so paid, and then like the next day or two, I'll see, depending, I'll see it in my bank account. So I set it up. It just sends, like I just deposits as I get paid.
Okay,
Hmm.
good to know.
I wonder, that's curious. I wonder if you could change your payout schedule. I'm not sure. That's a good question. But I just have it. Yeah, I know, like I'll get the email and then I get money like a day or two later. So I guess I have it as you go. But I wonder if you wanted to do a bulk, that's we didn't even really get into this, but for like taxing, their reporting and stuff, their like record keeping is really helpful too. I like hate taxes like freak me out, make me want to throw up, but it is nice to have, it's nice to have like their overview and everything, you can just kind of really quickly see who paid you and when and how much did you make that year, it's nice. Um, but yeah, that's a good question about payments. This is kind of time. Yeah, any other they're also telling me I went into my payment thing to look at this, Shantae, for you, and I'm getting a little alert, like get paid faster with instant deposits, set this up. So yeah, right now I am on a 2 to 3 day wait, but it looks like maybe with this new, like they've just updated a lot of stuff. So maybe with this new Honeybook rollout, you could opt in for like instant if you wanted.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. This was super
Thank
helpful.
you. Yeah,
I learned so much.
I'm so glad you really did. Thank you. Thanks, Dawn and Hannah, for saying it was helpful. Yeah, and I'll send you guys the replay and mentioned resources. And of course, if you have any other questions, like definitely let me know. I'm just happy to help. And hopefully, if you're deciding this maybe I don't know about Acuity. I have not looked into them, but I know what I do love for Honeybook is just how they make it easy. They keep track of things, but also it's like pretty. Like it really can be like your sales platform and your scheduling, booking, everything. I'm not sure. I would imagine Acuity has something like that. Um,
No,
but
Honeybook definitely has more than Acuity.
pretty. It's pretty. You're paying for the pretty, because that's the thing. I mean, it is, like I said, the essentials or starter was like 36 a month. Essentials was 47 a month. So I have this link if you guys want 30% off. They've changed over time. I feel like inflation's hitting everybody. That link used to be like try HoneyBook for $1 for a whole month. I'm like, that would have been nice, but you know, not in this economy. They're not doing that. So, but it's worth it because if you think about, the with other platforms, you think about everything you have to do. HoneyBook really does all of it. Like it presents the information to the client, you can communicate with the client, you can do all the back end like scheduling, taking payments. Again, it's pretty, which I learned about HoneyBook from a wedding photographer originally, so I know that aesthetic is top of mind for the people I've heard it recommended from, and I just think it really sets you apart. I like that it's very visual. What we do is so hard to explain. I just like they make it really easy to kind of put some pictures up and paint your services, and it just looks really nice and cohesive. So, and it works well again with your website. Like all these features that I can also just embed on my site. But if I didn't have a website, I would also have just like I could run my whole business on Honeybook, even if I didn't have a website. I could just share those quick links like to lead forms or contact forms on social media or, whatever. Make a QR code and put it on a flyer. Like it would do everything you needed. So keep that in mind too as you're looking around or deciding what to use. Like sometimes there's hidden cost or even time cost of, oh, I'm going to have to like write that email to that client and tell them how much it is, or whatever. Make a poster, make a brochure, and Honeybook will just do it for you. There is some initial setup investment, but once it's done, it runs really smoothly in my experience. So cool, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks for this. Y'all are the best. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.